What's up, Dolphin Nation? What's up, NFL fans? What's up, PhinsTalk family? Today we're going to go in and talk about Jeff Hafley was on the Schrager Hour with Schrager from the NFL on ESPN, and he spoke about his plans for the Miami Dolphins and his plans in terms of a QB. I can pretty much tell you that Tua Tagovailoa seems not to be in the plans of Jeff Hafley. And not only Jeff Hafley, Sully, a.k.a. John Eric Sullivan. But let's listen to this, and then I'll give you my reaction. I'm going to play the entire interview, but it's not the whole podcast. I'll give you my reaction at the end.
The hottest name in South Florida right now, and he is also being very cool to give us a moment of his time during a very busy period of this hiring process. It is the new head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Jeff Hafley. Welcome to the Schrager Hour.
Thanks. I appreciate having me on, man. I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. We were supposed to do it a couple weeks ago and couldn't, and now we're doing it in different colors with palm trees behind me. No more North Pole.
It's funny. Let's talk about that transition, because I don't know where your family is yet, if they've made the move, but like the entire Northeast and Midwest just got pummeled with one of the craziest weather weeks we've ever had. And I'm thinking about Jeff Hafley in the back of my head. Like, has he timed this thing any better that he is now in South Florida and not only gets to be a head coach, but also escapes what is probably negative 10-degree weather up in Green Bay?
Yeah, I think it's negative 17. Actually, the Friday after my press conference, my kids' school got canceled because it was so cold outside. Meanwhile, they're swimming in a pool and it's 80 degrees outside, thinking they're on vacation, not realizing they're actually going to live here. So once we explained that to them, they wanted to come back, and it was pretty awesome. But they're back in Green Bay right now. They'll be back hopefully in a month for good. But I escaped the cold.
Yeah, what's it been like? It's been what now? A week and a half, or no, 8 days really since it was official, but a week and a half since this whole thing really ramped up. Have you had a chance to even take a moment to reflect on what this past week has been like in your life?
Not really, but it was actually a pretty cool moment. So I had a cousin get married in Miami on Saturday. That was planned for a year. Right?
Get out of here.
I RSVP. Yeah, so I RSVP no to the wedding. And it so happens that when I was at my press conference, I had my mom here, my brother here, my sister here, because everybody was up in Miami for the wedding, or down in Miami for the wedding. So Saturday when I was done with work, I had RSVP no, but I just kind of walked into the wedding and saw my aunts, my uncles, my cousins. And so it was like a celebration of the wedding, but it was kind of cool for me because I got to see everybody, and it was like a party for both. So it was actually a really cool moment.
All right, let's just put this. Okay, so everyone sees that press conference, and you got Mr. Ross, and you got Tom Garfinkel, and you got Aikman and Danny Silman, and everyone's looking great. And then your whole family was there, and I'm like, that's pretty cool that everyone flew in. Mom, they weren't there for that. They were there because there was a wedding coming up. That's fantastic.
Yeah, they weren't there for me. They were there because there was a wedding. But in turn, I said, guys, you're going to be in Miami. You got to come to the press conference, which was actually turned out to be a big deal for me. I mean, the fact that my mom think about that. Like, one of the most special moments in my life. And not only is Gina and my kids there, but then my mom, my brother, my sister, who I'm really close with my family. So it's kind of why I got emotional at the end, because when I start to get to the point and I'm thinking about thanking people and I see them and I think about like this journey, and it was like slow motion, and like the sacrifices they made for me, all the things I missed in my family's like lives, because I never got to go home. I never got to be around them. And now they're sitting there, and I got choked up where I didn't know if I was going to be able to talk or not. So that was a special moment.
We talk about this so much with these coaches on this show, about the sacrifices and the moments missed, and then how important it is to have a family. And in many cases, you talk about, like, Liam Cohen was on last week, and he started crying on the podcast because he's talking about his wife and how she's had to move place to place to place and never thinks twice and just has his back and says, yeah, where are we going? Let's go. And what that means and how special that is. That moment where you got teary-eyed at the press conference, I thought it was beautiful.
No, I appreciate it. And it's not just your wife. It's my daughter Leah was born when I was with the Niners, and she's 7. So let's put this into perspective for everybody to see what it's like to be a coach's kid. She was born in San Francisco when I was with the Niners. I moved her to Ohio State when I became the coordinator. I moved her to Boston College. So now she's that's 3 moves, and she's 7 years old. And then I moved her to Green Bay. That's 4 moves. She's 7 years old. Now I'm moving her to Miami. This is her 5th move. So it's also the fact that these kids who it's hard enough to make friends. I mean, they switch schools. They have to go to new places. And not only does my wife have to do that, but my kids have to do that. So the sacrifices that they're making, and all coaches' wives and families are making, I don't think people realize it all the time. Now we're very fortunate. So I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but for all coaches in general, what their families have to do, I mean, it is unique, and I'm fortunate to have a really supportive wife and great kids.
That's awesome. And I always say this, like we talk about Black Monday, and there's such a cast of such a dark spell over that day. The head coach loses his job, but people don't realize everyone on that coaching staff pretty much loses their job also, unless that they're retained or they have a history with the guy that's coming in. So that's why that day is so dark in the NFL. It's not just the head coach, who's usually fairly well compensated. It's all the assistants, and then they have to start anew, and they have to figure out their lives, and they got to go back home to their wives and their kids and be like, we're moving. I just don't know where.
Yeah, I mean, and that is hard, and I get it. Everybody sees, the head coach was let go, and he's got X amount of years on his contract and X amount of money that they owe him. But, for every member on that staff, from the quality control coach to the position coaches to the support staff to the strength coaches, sometimes all the way to the training staff and the video people, I mean, that one job affects so many lives that I don't think people truly understand that. And it's even, coming into a situation like this, I wanted to sit down with all those coaches that were here and at least get in front of them. And as hard as that is to do, and as much time as it takes, I do feel like it's the right thing to do. And, it's not as if I'm firing them and letting them go, because I'm not. There's some I just can't hire, because when you do get the opportunity, you have guys that have been with you, or guys that know your scheme, or just people in general that you want to bring along, and you can't keep that whole entire staff. So there are really a lot of decisions that you have to make.
It's a great segue, because the offensive coordinator is such an important decision. And it was one that everything came with Jeff Hafley is going to be the head coach of Team X, but who's he bringing as the OC? Take us down the road, and how you ended up saying, okay, I like what we got in house, and let's figure out what we can do here and make this work.
Yeah. So obviously it's Bobby Slowick. Bobby and I were together in San Francisco. And at the time, I don't think a lot of people know this, but Bobby was on the defensive side of the ball. So it was Robert Saleh, D'Amico, me, and Bobby. And the four of us did everything together. And I mean, Bobby was in my office all the time talking football, and I left to go be the coordinator at Ohio State. Well, Kyle Shanahan says, all right, I know who Bobby is. I see how good he is. I see how smart he is. I'm taking the smart guys to offense. So he steals Bobby to go on offense. And then look at what Bobby did there. Bobby kind of climbed through his ranks. It was like Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, Mike LaFleur, and now it's Kyle Shanahan, and Bobby's the next guy. So then Bobby does such a good job there. Bobby goes on to Houston, where I coached against him there my first year in Green Bay. So I got to kind of follow him and coach against him. And then Bobby comes down here with Mike. And then when I get the job, I'm still in touch with Bobby, because regardless of where I go, Bobby's on my list. And it just kind of worked out that he's here. He doesn't have to move. My relationship with him, what he does schematically, is really what I want to do. And knowing the type of person that he is, I mean, for those of you, and I know you probably know him a little bit, but you want to talk about an unbelievable person. And I mean, that's so important to me. Just a guy that I trust. I love what he does, and it's really worked out well for both of us.
And if you ask those Niners players, Bobby Slowick is one of their favorite guys, whether it be Kittle or Juszczyk or any of those dudes. He's one of their guys. So everyone's excited right now in South Florida, but you keep the same guy who was in the building. You elevate him, obviously, as the offensive coordinator. And now the question goes to the quarterback position, which I'm sure you were asked about in the interview. I'm sure you were asked about 6 times in the press conference, and I'm sure you're asked about every time you go out on the street. What is the response when someone?
So why don't we just keep asking about the quarterback? I got it.
I think it's fair. You can't win in this league without having a conviction and knowing exactly what the path is. But I honestly don't know if there's a plan in place, or you guys are still exploring what path we're going to go down.
Obviously, I think, and it was great in the press conference. You'd appreciate it. Every time they asked me, I said, yep, that's for Sully. I'm not answering that.
Someone else. The GM's got to call it, not me.
That's Sully's call, not mine. I'm just coaching the players here. But in all fairness, I'll be part of that, right? And we'll have conversations. And whether it's somebody that's here, whether we have competition with the players here, we bring someone else in and they're allowed to compete, whether that's in free agency or whether that's in the draft. I mean, let's be honest, there will be conversation and there has to be a plan because this league runs through that position. So can I sit here right now and tell you what the plan is? No. Have we had conversations? Yeah, I'd be totally giving you a bunch of BS and lying to you if I told you that I had no plan. Can I sit here and tell you what that plan is? No, I can't tell you. And you already know the answer to that. You're just doing your job and asking me the question. So that's the best I can give you right now. But if you want to get Sully on the phone after, go give him a call. He'll give you a better answer.
That's good. It's fine. I'd have to get his number. Then we'll do it. We'll go figure that out.
I got to introduce you to. You got to get to know him.
That's it. Remember the guy. That's the Green Bay way. They keep those guys in like a back room somewhere. Like, all right, this is your next GM. All right. This is overall a thought for like you as you're interviewing for the Dolphins. Like, what is a Jeff Hafley team? Now, we've seen it at Boston College and we've seen your defenses at Ohio State and, of course, at Green Bay. But when you're defining what in your head is a Jeff Hafley coach team, what is that product on the field?
Yeah, when I close my eyes and what does that look like? I think it's the hardest, toughest playing team, the most physical team, the team that just kind of plays for each other and brings this energy and this passion. And you see it in between plays and you see it on the sideline and you see it by how guys run to the ball and cover downfield. And I just think there's a physical and mental toughness to it and a camaraderie to it. And that's my vision of what this is going to look like. And that's all I think about when I'm sitting here and talking to these guys. That it's a little different here too, because in Green Bay, we had no players in the offseason here, but now all of our players are here because they want to be in Florida. So it's been cool to have these guys come up and kind of have me share that vision and that mindset. And that's what I want it to look like. And that's what I'm going to ask our assistants to coach. And then from there, we'll go with scheme, because this thing's about fundamentals and technique and how hard we're going to play. And then we'll build the scheme and see it. But that's my vision of how we're going to look.
What's a Jeff Hafley player? Like, if you were to draw up a player and like what you want coming out of college or someone that's already, whatever it is, what's he made of and what can he do? And what are you looking to build 53 guys around?
Yeah, I want smart, tough players who are instinctive and that you can count on. And I want guys that are going to buy into the whole element of team and loving his teammates. And when you turn on, it's what Sully and I talk about it all the time. I mean, you want to find a guy that loves football because that's what we want. Turn the tape on and watch how hard he plays. Turn the tape on in the fourth quarter and see if he's straining on both sides of the ball. Go to the last game of the season when they're not in a bowl game or they're not in the playoffs and see how hard he's still playing. Like, those are the things that are important to me. And that's all that I think about here is we start watching this stuff and figure out who we're going to bring in and joining us.
I love that. And I would think if you're a Dolphins fan, you grew up in the 80s or the 70s or even the 90s, and it was the Dolphins were always in the mix. They were always a Super Bowl contender. And then the last couple of years, Mike took them to the playoffs. There were some moments where it's like, no one can stop this Miami offense. And then it came up short. If you're a Miami fan, what can you expect as far as this franchise under Jeff Hafley and really what your hopes are and hopes and visions are if all things go perfectly?
Yeah, I mean, I said at my press conference, I mean, this is, like you just said, I mean, Dan Marino and these guys, like, are you kidding me?
Dude.
Dan's got an
Dolphins?
office. Right? I pass Dan's office. He's got an office here. I pass it every day, and I'm still like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, Dan Marino.
What is – because you're like me. You're a football –
What's that?
You're a football obsessive. You're like me, and I have a database of every – I remember watching, and I don't know how – I remember watching – Dolphins playoff games against the Bills and then they played the Chargers in 95. But I have a memory, and it must have been because of 85, the Dolphins spoiling the Bears' flawless season. Like, do you have that? You have that institutional knowledge of Dolphins and what that means in the league, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just growing up, playing video games and stuff, using Marino to Duper and Clayton and Zach Thomas and all Jason Taylor. All these guys. I mean, if you grew up loving football like we do, I mean, Miami was one of the first teams that came to your mind. And that's what this city deserves, right? I mean, this is a historically storied franchise that deserves a winner. And I'm going to do everything in my power to bring that back. And I'm not and you know me well enough, I'm not going to knock the past, because there were some really good things that were done here. And I mean, even in the recent past, there were some really good things that were done there. We just need to continue to take steps forward and erase that, however, 25 years of, non-playoff wins. And honestly, is this going to take a little bit of time? Sure. And I understand that. But at the same time, like I said this yesterday to somebody, whether I'm playing Leah, my 7-year-old, in cards, or I'm playing against my wife, I don't like to lose. So this isn't going to be like, oh, okay, we're just going to sit here and rebuild and reset and not try to win games. Like, no, like if you wanted to play me in a game right now, I'd be pissed off at you if I lost. I mean, that's how we were wired, right? So everything we do, it's going to be to try to win every single game that we play. We want to build this foundation the right way and have it sustained, and it just might take a little time.
I love this. This is the same guy, I'm sure, who was playing wide receiver at Pascack Hills in New Jersey many years ago. Take us through your childhood, your Jersey background, and then your college career also, because I think that kind of lays the groundwork for your story as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, I was a high school quarterback. In high school, I played quarterback. I played baseball. I played basketball. I mean, kind of like you probably, right? If it was light outside, we played sports. Yeah. And
outside at the park.
We were outside at the park until, for me, you know how I knew when to come in? When the bats in Jersey started swooping right past your head.
Guys, I like what he said, but basically he didn't say about a plan for, he said about a quarterback competition. It might be the draft. It might be a free agent. So it's more than 95%. I can tell you it's 95% sure that Tua will not be back with the team. I like his philosophy of having a tough team, but I got to see it on the field, because sometimes there's a lot of coach speak. I know he's from Green Bay. He came from a winning culture along with Sully, but I got to see it on the field, because just because you come from a winning franchise doesn't mean you can translate what the winning franchise has been doing for the past 30 to 35 years. Leave me your comments down below and let me know what you think of what he said about the quarterback position, his philosophy for a team, and I like the fact that he said about toughness and having instinctive players, but can you see that translating based on his personality, or will the soft culture in Miami continue, even though we got 2 members of the former Packers regime? Let me know what you think in the comments, and like always, stay positive. Stay on your grind, and go Dolphins.